Going? JP here. Hope you're doing well. Christmas Eve again. I'm doing my second video tonight. Anyways, I've been meaning to do this video for a while because I really think it can help you. I spent multiple years trying to figure out how to play bar chords without destroying my fingers and having them like cramp up, and like it was just so hard playing bar chords, and I didn't understand why. I thought my fingers were not strong enough, or not big enough, or all that sort of thing. Everybody has their own particular fingers, etc., etc. And anyone can play bar chords. Honestly, it's not as hard as you think it is, and I'm gonna show you why, what is actually happening and why you can't play bar chords. I understand if you're a kid or whatever, you may have a little bit harder of a time, mainly because your fingers aren't quite as long, but hopefully you have a guitar that is smaller, so it's a little bit easier. But regardless of that, anybody can play bar chords. You don't need to have super strong fingers or anything like that. Honestly, like, my uncle plays guitar and he can't play bar chords. He's worked with his hands his whole life. He's a big muscular guy, etc., etc. And he's like, oh, my fingers aren't strong enough, yada, yada, yada. But honestly, it has nothing to do with strength or anything like that. And I spent like at least 2 years, trying to figure out how to play bar chords without my fingers completely cramping up halfway through the song. So I'm just going to give you some quick, simple tips on how to play bar chords really easily. It's not as complicated as you might think. So, it's completely about technique. Completely about technique. Has nothing to do with finger strength or size or any of that stuff. So, the thing I finally managed to learn after like 2 years of trying and being like, oh, I just can't do it. Like, maybe I'll just stick with open chords, is that you shouldn't have to push down super hard. If your fingers are cramping up and stuff, it means that you're actually not positioning your fingers correctly. That's what it is. That, and you don't have to push down on all the strings. Like, you really don't. All you need to do is push down on the very top two. So when you're putting your finger across there, what you're really going to want to do is angle your hand that way. Right? Got that? And then you really just want to make sure that the top two strings are being pushed down while you're barring. The rest of the strings don't particularly matter at all. And like for like probably 2 years, honestly, I was like pushing down, being like, oh, this is so difficult. But really, you just, as long as those top two are pushed down, it doesn't really matter. The rest of them, you're pretty much muting just by touching them. You don't need to be pushing all the other like 4 strings down. So let's say you're playing like a G. So up on that 3rd fret there, again, I have a capo on, but 3rd fret from the capo, this would be a G. If you make like a E shape below it. So you got that. But basically, you really just want to be pushing down on those top 2 strings. Top 2. And then the rest doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As long as your finger is just like touching the other 4 down below, the other 4 strings there. I know it's hard to see. I'm sorry. That's what you really want to be doing, because in actuality, like, you're not going to be really playing the bottom strings all that much. As long as they're muted, it doesn't really matter. So it's almost like playing a power chord, basically. But again, like, bar chords seem really hard, and like I wish somebody had told me this so long ago. Those top 2 strings are the ones that you're actually going to be want to pushing down on. The rest of them don't really matter. It's, again, when you're strumming it too, you're going to want to avoid playing those bottom strings a little bit, but you'll still get the correct sound. It'll still be good. But I wish somebody had told me that, and I hadn't to spend so much time. so much time trying to figure out what I was doing wrong, or like thinking that, I just couldn't do it, or because you see people all over YouTube or playing in general who are able to play bar chords. Seems like no problem. They play song after song. And you're like, how are you doing that? Like, if you've ever tried a bar chord, it really does hurt your finger. If you're trying to push down on all 6 strings all at once, you can't do it. Like, nobody can. It's next to impossible. So really what you want to be doing is, again, angling your hand. Instead of being like that angle, you want that angle. And then you're just going to be, again, just pushing down on those top 2 strings. The other 4, your finger will still touch, which means that it will mute them. But it doesn't you don't need to like be pushing down with your whole hand, because then you're almost grabbing the guitar and you're just trying to, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Especially if the whole song is bar chords, you'll have a lot of issues. And even if you leave, I don't know if you can see that there, even if you leave the bottom strings open, it almost gives it like an open sound. So like, let's say I was playing, what's the name of that song? Hero or whatever. Was that a Nickelback song? I think it is. Either way, that one, for instance, is all bar chords. There's the one I originally started learning was an Everlast song called Black Jesus. And I love the song, absolutely loved it, but it's entirely bar chords, at least the way I learned to play it. And like when I was first learning, like I really wanted to play it, but just having so many issues, and I spent like probably like a year and a half trying to figure out how to play it. And eventually, I just started messing around with different ways to play it. And again, like you can almost, I don't know if you can see that, but you really just need to be pushing down those top strings, the top 2 pretty much, or even top 1. But yeah, that way it's just way easier on your fingers. So I don't know, you can see my fingers bent a little bit. So like it's a weird bendy shape, right? Because I'm pushing down those top 2. As long as those top 2 are down, you will not have an issue, and you'll be able to play them a lot faster. Like a lot faster. Like, let's say you're playing a B, and you really want to learn how to play a B, because B minor or whatever is in a lot of different songs. Or even if you're playing like an F, like, because F is another way. Well, there's multiple ways to play F. You can also play it with just the 3 fingers, like a C, but 2 fingers down. That's like an open F, or your actual F. And definitely lead with your index finger. Lead with it when you're switching chords, because it is hard to switch into a bar chord. It is a little bit difficult. Switching chords, I'm going to do a whole other video on switching chords, because I definitely learned that the hard way too. But yeah, I hope this little piece of advice helps you. Again, just try pushing down on those first 2 strings, and then form whatever shape that you need underneath that. So like, let's say it's a B. So it's like these 3 fingers are making the E shape on your like 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings below the bar. But you really don't need to be pushing all the way down, because man, you're gonna kill your fingers. You're gonna wind up ruining your joints. Anyways, I honestly hope this helped. I know this isn't normal. I usually just do straight up individual song lessons, but I really wanted to do this video for a long time, and I just didn't get around to it. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them down below. Or if you have like an easy way to play bar chords as well, feel free to post your suggestions down below so other people can read it and hopefully help each other out a little bit. But yeah, Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe in the corner, one of these corners. Anyways, appreciate you guys watching. Have a good day. Happy holidays.